The first thing that Dave and I thought that it was going to be super important for you to understand is the difference between context and content. Because the moment that you understand context and content, you will be able to play this game. If you do not understand each one of them, then playing the game is going to be very complicated. So let's just try it between Dave and I. We're going to try to explain to you what context and content is all about. So let me just share with you an example. Let's say that we are in our company and we are in a budgeting meeting. So we're going to have about 4 or 5 people sitting around the table, and we're going to be talking about expenses. We're going to be talking about profit. We're going to be talking about income and different things. That's the content. Now, if we like to see it from the enlightened leader point of view, then we have to not only listen to the content, but we also have to listen to the context. Now, what is the context? We're going to have a group of 2 people. Some people are going to be the to me, which are the ones which are saying, well, you know, all of this is happening to me. Those are the ones which are going to be very defensive. Those are the ones which are going to be arguing because they didn't like that. They're going to complain that this is what's happening in the market, that this is what's happening in the every situation, and everything is about defensiveness and aggressiveness and whatever. And now we have the other people which are saying, well, you know, with this information, we can possibly change this. And these are the by me people. They are the ones which are going to be trying to find solutions. They're going to be the ones which are going to try to be sharing more information, trying to share and talk about how everything is with the group. So you as a leader normally take an observation and try to see who are your to me people and who are your by me people, because of course the by me people are going to be the ones. Sorry?
I see a kind of political thing happening here. I'll just keep it to myself. Please carry on.
Well, I mean, it's just an explanation. I mean, you're a leader, you're there in the group, and you're just simply trying to understand how both sides of the people which are working in your company see the world. So we have 2 different things, and whatever happens, we need to always see content and context. I don't know if actually I explained myself correctly, Dave.
No, you do. So what we're talking about is, on one side, if you're to me, you talk about the world is about me, it's me shaped, everything that happens is very unfair, and you talk about the fact that people do stuff and they shouldn't be doing that, and I'll deal with it, and it's very micromanaged. If you're by me, then you see a bigger picture, you like to put stuff in perspective, and you like to make sure that everybody gets across the finishing line. So that's the big difference between the 2 different ways of doing it. I'm completely wrong. I thought it had a political ramification.
I haven't mentioned politics at all. But if you think about it, that's what happens in every single situation around the world. So we have people which are to me and people which are by me. And the behaviors are completely different. Now, if you want to politicize this, I don't think that we even have to mention who is who in the political aspects. And you're going to know who is who. I mean, this is just how powerful this kind of information is.
It's very true. So what does that mean when it comes around to how you drive this? How does it fit in with people? So if you're, for instance, a to-me person and it's all about you, what kind of policies do you make, and how does that fit in with the way that everything comes together?
Well, I think it's, I mean, let's just take it with what is going on right now. And I think we have a very interesting video here, which you're going to be showing. Let's talk about the masks. I mean, this is one example, which is just perfect for what we're talking about. Everywhere in the world, I mean, right now you live there in Dubai. I mean, you have somebody which is not a politician, which is an expert on health and whatever, giving directions, and everybody's following directions. Same thing happened in most countries. But here in the States, what happens is that you get a politician to actually be saying things, and sometimes the information is conflictive, and then this is where everything goes wrong. So have a look at this video.
This is U.S. Congressman Louis Gohmert. Unlike many of his colleagues, he often refused to wear a mask in Congress. And then he tested positive for COVID-19. But in an interview, he suggested that he got COVID-19 because of the times he did wear a mask.
I might have put some of the virus onto the mask and breathed it in.
Gomert's distrust of masks is actually shared by a ton of Americans. A poll in July asked Americans how often they wear a mask. Among Democrats, almost everyone said they wore a mask in public, but significantly fewer Republicans said so. Yet the messaging from public health officials today is clear. Wearing a mask helps stop the spread of COVID-19. So where did this communication break down? How was something as simple as wearing a mask allowed to become political? In October of 2001, the US bungled a different public health crisis. Someone sent envelopes of deadly anthrax to media organizations and government offices. First, the Secretary of Health and Human Services went on TV and speculated about how the first victim might have gotten it.
We do know that he drank water out of a stream.
Why are you giving us that detail?
Just because he was an outdoorsman, and there's a possibility that there's all kinds of possibilities.
She's asking, can you contract anthrax by drinking?
We don't know. We don't know yet.
As the crisis continued, different officials gave different conflicting information. No one was really in charge of communicating to the public. And it led the U.S. Centers for Disease Control to make this, the Crisis and Emergency Risk Communication Guide, or CIRC. It's a guide to how to communicate during a public health crisis.
The CIRC guidelines are really a reflection of the lessons that were learned from failures.
Glenn Nowak used to be in charge of communications for the CDC. He's used the CIRC and even wrote some of it. And he says one of the biggest lessons from the anthrax attack is what the CIRC now calls the most important role in a crisis, and the key to preventing mass confusion, having a single person as the spokesperson.
It really helps to have one primary voice, one primary face.
The CIRC says the spokesperson should be someone who is familiar with the subject matter and can talk about it clearly and confidently.
A lot of communications, particularly in a public health crisis, is about setting, guiding, and managing people's expectations. And it's important early on to not just talk about what you know, but what you don't know.
Essentially, the spokesperson needs to be seen as trustworthy and credible, which is one reason you don't want your spokesperson to be a politician, because it's really hard for any politician to be seen as credible by everyone.
They often only resonate with those who support them, and they don't resonate with those who did not vote for them.
That doesn't mean political leaders can't be involved in public health communication. They just can't take the lead on the science. A good example of a government following these principles during COVID-19 was in New Zealand, where the Prime Minister was at many of the daily briefings but wasn't leading it.
As is our usual practice, I'll begin by handing over to Dr. Bloomfield.
What's important is that everybody is on the same page with respect to the overall messaging.
But in the US, there hasn't been a clear spokesperson or a clear message. Press conferences were led by President Trump and would feature politicians as well as public health experts, and they often contradicted each other.
We do expect more cases.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
Especially when it came to guiding those expectations.
We will have coronavirus in the fall.
It may not come back at all. Developing very rapidly a vaccine.
That could be a year to a year and a half.
These conflicts asked many Americans to pick a side. Who do you believe, the president or public health officials?
Great video. So what we're saying then is the to me people are the people saying, you're taking away my constitutional rights. I have a right not to wear a mask. You're making it difficult for me. And the big G basically said that we don't need those as part of our respiration content. But the by me are saying we need to make sure that everybody's safe. And so everybody should be doing this collectively for an end result. That's the way it fits in with the two types of management and leadership. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch all the videos over here. There's two choices for you. Or, of course, I'm Dave Crane coming from Dubai.
And this is Ernesto Verdugo coming from Houston.
And I think we should send a message. Hold on.
What is this?
Subscribe.